Hi everyone. In this video, we are going to show you with practical demonstration the difference between Elastic IP, Public IP, and Private IP. Okay, so here in my AWS Management Console, I'm in my what we call AWS EC2 instance service. Okay, so if you look down here, we have what we called Elastic IP. Okay, I'll click on that, but before I go further, okay, when you launch your EC2 instance, you will be given what we call a public IP and a private IP. Okay, so where does the Elastic IP comes in? Okay, so let me scroll up again here just to show you the instance that I've provisioned. I've got these two EC2 instance running. Okay, so let me click on this one, the top one, and then explain to you what I have here. Okay, so we have the instance summary or the details of this instance. You can see what we have here: public IP and private IP. Underneath the underneath this private IP, you could see the public DNS. Okay, you can also see what we call elastic IP address. What are the difference? So the public IP address. So these ones, when I stop this instance, okay, this public IP will also disappear. Okay, by that, these things are dynamically provisioned, and therefore, when you stop and start the instance, the IP, the public IP, will change. Okay, so when you provision your EC2 instance into a public subnet, you'll be automatically being given what we call your public IP address. Okay, like I said, this public IP, when you stop or start your instance, it will change. But for private IP, these are static. It doesn't get changed. Okay, they are retained. So when you stop or start your instance, the private IP will stay the same. Okay, so why do we need Elastic IP? Okay, so imagine a scenario whereby, let's say, you have your application running on this EC2. Okay, and let's say you stop this EC2 for maintenance purposes. When you reboot it, you're gonna be having a different public IP. Bear in mind your customers only knows this public IP. Okay, the previous one. Therefore, stopping and starting, you are changing the IP address which your customers or your client can reach onto that. Therefore, you need to constantly be updating them with your new public IP. To avoid the changing or the dynamics of the public IP, you need to allocate what we call the elastic IP. So this elastic IP are static. Okay, you have to manually allocate it to the instance. When you don't need it, you need to release it back to AWS. Why is it so? Because IP version 4 are getting scarce, and therefore, for efficient use of this IP address and prevent people from hoarding them, provision them and not use it, okay, AWS will charge you when this thing get allocated to you and you don't use it. You don't use it, by that I mean you haven't attached it to an instance. Okay, so you request for it, it will be allocated to you manually, and therefore you have to use it. So there is an additional cost if you ask for it, you get allocated it, but then you don't use it. Okay, there will be a charge applied to it. So in a higher level, that is it. So public IP, okay, this thing are dynamic, will be allocated. It will change when you stop and start, and you don't need that situation. You need to provision what we call elastic IP, so you have a static public IP which will not change. Okay, private IP are just static at all time. I'm going to show you quickly so you can see this public IP. Okay, I'm going to reboot the instance. Then we have a look. Distance will change. I'm going to allocate elastic IP to it, and then again reboot it, and you see that distance will not change. Okay, but before I go on, let me show you what I have on the site. So let me copy the public IP, open a new tab here. Okay, and then paste it here. Okay, I've got this um, running on top of my EC2. Okay, happy days. So let's go back to our EC2. I'm going to stop and then start it. So to stop and start, you go to instance state, and then okay, I'm going to stop it and start it again. But just to show you, when you reboot it, it doesn't matter. The IP, the public IP will stay the same. So rebooting it is not going to change anything. Okay, you will still keep your public IP. The only changes that will happen is when you stop and then start the instance. You will lose your public IP. And to avoid that, you have what we call Elastic IP. You allocate that to your instance. Okay, so let's do a quick reboot. Quick reboot. Yes, I want to reboot. Okay, the IP is still the same. Okay, and you see that it didn't get changed, right? So for now, I'm going to do a quick what we call them stop and start. Okay, stop the instance. Okay, I'm going to stop this instance. It's stopping, and then when it's done, okay, I'm going to reboot it. What I will do is I'm going to pause this, and then when it's finished, we'll restart it, and then we'll have a look. Keep your eyes on this IP, this public IP. Okay, the last one is 253. Okay, we'll have a look when we come back. Okay, welcome back. Yeah, so I just rebooted the instance, and at the moment it's currently running. Okay, if you can remember the last IP address, I copied it. Let me show you. So this was the old one, so 253. Okay, and currently after rebooting, can you see we have a different one? Okay, the last one is 134. Okay, so the instance got rebooted, and therefore we have a different IP. Okay, so what I want to show you actually is to let's do the Elastic IP. We are going to allocate Elastic IP to this, so when we stop and start, this IP, the public IP, will not change. We want to have a static one. Okay, so to do that, on our left hand side of the instance, okay, we scroll down, and then we have Elastic IP here. Let's allocate one to ourselves. Basically, you are requesting to AWS that, you know what, can I please have static IP for my instance? They say yes. Okay, what do you want? Is IP version 4. Okay, later on I'll do a video about what we call global accelerator. Okay, so for now, all you need to do is, request it will be allocated to you. Okay, this is when, if you don't attach it to any instance, you will get charged. Okay, so why? Because IP version 4 are quite scarce, and therefore when you request for one, don't just hold it. Please use them. If you don't need it, release it back. Okay, so here is calling for it to be attached. So all you can say is associate this. Okay, what instance do you want to associate to it? Okay, we can pick the instance that was running, the one we chose, test Elastic IP. We select that. Okay, leave the rest, and what we need to do is associate. Once you associate it, you will not get charged. They know this is getting utilized. Okay, and that's what the Elastic IP is about. Okay, so let's go back to our instance at the top. Let's look for it here, instance. Okay, and then the instance here. We're going to refresh that. Okay, give ourselves a time here. Okay, and now you can see we got Elastic IP. Okay, being allocated to you. Okay, this Elastic IP will not change. Okay, you see that this Elastic IP will stay the same. Let me actually make it a bit bigger so you can see. Okay, that one is now static. Even when I stop and start, it will not change. Right, I'm going to stop it, and then I'll restart it, and we will see. Okay, so again, go back to the state, and I'm going to stop the instance. I will pause the video again, and then we'll come back. Okay, so keep your eyes on the IP address, both public and then elastic one. Yeah, stop, and then I'll come back to this. Let's pause this recording. Hello, welcome back. So I just rebooted the instance, actually restarted it, and it's pending. Let's refresh it and see if it's all good. Yeah, it's all green, all happy days. Okay, so can you see the instance public IP stays the same, right? Okay, the public IP, Elastic IP, both are the same. Okay, if I want to reach out to the instance on here, again, let me paste it here, and then we should be able to still have access. Okay, no problem on that. So go back to what we have here. Again, this is the end of the difference between Elastic IP, public IP, and then what we call um, Elastic IP. Elastic IP are static public IP. Okay, when you stop or start your instance, it will not change. When it's not in use, please release it back. Okay, because when you don't attach it to any instance, okay, you will get charged, right? Okay, therefore, when you are leveraging on what we call the public IP address, and then you want to have a static IP, you go for what we call Elastic IP. Okay, public IP, these things are dynamic. Okay, get allocated when you provision your EC2 instance in the public subnet, right? Private IP address are static. Okay, normally you get that when you provision your instance into a private subnet. Okay, again, I will be doing a video in any other areas like the global accelerator, load balancers, target group, and so on and so forth. I've captured so many videos. Please subscribe, like them, and then yeah, comment on them. Again, I want to see any comment in the chat or any of the area emails or anything like that, so I'll be able to do any videos that you recommend. So what I'll be doing is I'm going to release the Elastic IP because I don't need it again. So I'll go down to Elastic IP. Where is that? Here. Okay, and then I'm going to say action. Actually, let's select the Elastic IP we need, and then I'm going to say disassociate it. Okay, and then I'm going to disassociate. Okay, detach it from the instance. You don't need it on the instance again. Once I'm done, I'll go back in again and I'm gonna release it to AWS. I don't need it to avoid charges. Yeah, please do this. Yeah, so release it and then release. That is it. I hope with the instance you'll be able to terminate it. Okay, so this is the end of the video. Happy learning, keep learning. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.